Classical Grant, and today I want to share a little bit about what it was like growing up in a cult. Growing up in the cult when you're young is the worst. Oh my goodness. Because it's like you're finally becoming smart enough to start comprehending some of what they're teaching you and just how crazy it really is. But you're too young to do anything. You can't do nothing about it. You just have to sit back and watch a train wreck and just watch it. Just enjoy the breeze and the view, I guess, because there's nothing else you can do. The first thing I wanted to share is a little bit about my family situation. So my dad did have three wives, but it wasn't, but we didn't all live together, right? So a lot of people kind of picture it, the three moms and all 30 kids in one house and just total chaos. That would be crazy. Thank goodness that's not how it was in the cult that I grew up in. Um, we all had our separate homes, and so even though we visited each other a lot, and as I got old enough, I eventually knew they were all my siblings, and we always did stuff together growing up. We still at least came home to our own separate house and mostly dealt with our own chaos with my direct full siblings. Um, but with that, an interesting part about growing up in this cult is that um, there was always this kind of dynamic of the siblings getting really close and um, we did have fights and stuff like that always happened, but we depended on each other. I feel like a lot more than in just regular families, because first of all, our dad was hardly ever home. In fact, there's some people that I know personally in this cult that only see their dad once a month. One time a month. And it's just crazy. I don't know how you could possibly play the father role and be a father figure with being so busy that you can't even, you rarely get to see him. But anyways, the story I want to share is a little bit about my sibling connections that I have and how impactful it is. At least it was for me. Now, the crazy thing is, because we depend on our siblings so much, it is such a big deal when we do fight, or when we get rejected by our siblings, or have those arguments and then just kind of stop talking for a little bit, or something happens, because we can't necessarily just turn to our parents. We don't have a father to go to. I'll admit my mom was in my life, definitely. But it's so interesting because my relationship with my mom was not like I would go to her for comfort and I would get things off my chest with her. I felt like it was always so much of, she had so much going on. She was always so stressed. She had so many problems. She was kind of the one ranting to me all of the time. And I just remember feeling like I had to kind of keep myself together. I had to act like there wasn't anything wrong for her, to try and help her and things like that. And so my siblings were the ones that I turned to when I had issues or when I needed that comfort, or just to feel like I have someone in my life that I can trust and go to. And so there was this time when I was still in the order, and I was just going through a really hard time. And I remember just being really upset at my dad, and really more of just the entire situation. But there was a few things that my dad had done that just really nagged at me. And I remember just feeling like I didn't know if I hated him or exactly how I felt. And so I remember one day just writing it down. I just thought journaling was a good idea. I wrote it down, and I just spilt my heart and soul into this paper that I wrote. And it was just as honest as can be, open, everything that I thought. And it wasn't super direct because I didn't necessarily know if I hated my dad or what I felt. I just knew that I was upset and that these things bothered me, and this is what I thought about this, and this is how this is making me feel, but I wasn't sure about this and that. And I just remember it was just everything. Ugh, it was a really big deal to me. And I don't even really know why, But I remember going to one of my half siblings and sharing it with them, just hoping that we could just talk about it and like I could, I don't know, maybe feel better about talking about it with him and getting it off of my chest and just things like that. And I remember the next day, my dad came to me and he was telling me how unappreciative I was and how I don't see what's truly important in life and all I care about is me and what matters to me and my own perspective and all this stuff. And I remember just being like the very first thought I was like, oh, really confused. And then he said something that linked to that paper that I had, or to my journal that I had written all that stuff, and my heart just dropped. I was like, oh my goodness. First of all, how does he know? And then I knew instantly it was the sibling that I had shared it with. And I was just, it was the worst. Like, literally, I felt like my connection with that sibling was just destroyed. Like, oh my goodness, I could not trust him with anything. I, he knows how big of a deal that this is. He has been in the exact same upbringing as I am. He knows that when you share your true opinions or you question things, then you get in trouble. If you get that open and like publicly talk about it, you get in trouble. And it's a huge deal. And you get restrictions, you get your freedom taken away from you, you get even more problems than you already have. And he just went straight to the worst source ever and just told it to my dad. And it was just the worst. I remember feeling like I could never trust another human being ever again. I remember just being so upset and just heartbroken and just really unsure of what trust really even meant. I remember just feeling like this couldn't be real. How could he do this to me? How could we, as the siblings, we're the ones that are being brainwashed and manipulated, going through these hard times and trying to, and really we only have each other to depend on. We don't have parents. We don't have that kind of parental relationship to return to. We only had each other to talk to. We depended on each other. Our sibling connections was basically all we had left in this world, really. And he went and he betrayed it.
Are you all my personal dreams?
You guys want to know what's really crazy though? Something I just can't, even to this day, I cannot fully wrap my head around how quick people are to kind of turn on each other, you know? I feel like we see it all the time. Even today, I feel like there's racism, there's sexism, there's so much of people kind of like segregating one another and just turning on each other, you know? Like almost for no reason. And there's different motivations. I know everyone's motivated by different things. I don't know. It's different for everyone. And I just think of that experience I had with my sibling and sharing that information. He went and just told it to my dad. And it's like, from my understanding of it, like he was trying to like give information to my dad to kind of get like brownie points, you know, maybe get my dad to like him more. But there's so many more things you can get in trouble for. There's so much more risk involved with people finding out about, I guess, your secrets, or just not even secret, even just your thoughts. It's so dumb that it's like this big dramatic event from my childhood was about how I felt and what I thought about things. It's like it's straight up basically saying that you can't have your own thoughts. You can't think the way that you want to think. It's like it's so dumb. But that's how it was. You really had to be careful about who knew what you truly felt, or at least like you had to control your thoughts a lot and make sure they only got to the people that I guess sometimes that you think you can trust, but you can't really. But yeah, it's definitely wild. It's crazy. In the order I felt like I had friends. Everyone in the entire cult is my cousin in one way or another. We're all related. And so it's super easy to like meet up with them or like do things with other people or like have different group activities just all over the order. And like you feel like you have this network of lots of people you can reach out to, lots of people you can consider friends or buddies or whatever. But you know that they don't got your back. They aren't truly there for you. Everyone kind of has to look out for themselves. You can't really depend on them, on your friends, in the cult. And being on the outside has made me realize that I would much rather one truthful, loyal friend that's got my back than 10,000 fake ones. But it does not take that much mind power to realize that something's wrong or to understand that like, whoa, you have your own thoughts. You can interpret things your own way. It should not be a bad thing for you to express how you feel. And and some of the things that they teach there are just so obvious that they're wrong. I mean, I think one big one is the fact that they believe the order is going to take over the whole world. They really believe that the order will be, everyone will eventually be a part of the order. The world is, they describe it as like a little pebble going down a mountainside and it'll roll. I guess I don't know why they say pebble, but they do. But I picture it more like a snowball rolling down a hill, and it gets bigger and bigger um, until the whole world is involved. And it's like, I remember thinking about that, and it's like, okay, there's a lot of people in the order, so maybe. And then I went to public school, and I started learning real facts about the world, and realizing that there's 7.9 billion people on the planet right now, and there's 10,000 order members. So I even did the math. The percent of the world population that the order is 0.0001%. So it is so microscopic that it's it's unrealistic to think that it's going to take over the world. And with every new leader, it gets split off because most people can't agree who's going to lead and who's the proper leader or whatever. So that happens a lot, and it's barely growing. A lot of people are leaving. Anyways, they teach you stuff that just makes no sense, and they just go with it. They're swinging with it because they're used to so many of the people that they're teaching just being young or like just being super accepting to anything that they teach. They don't question it. So that's a little bit of my personal experience from growing up in a cult. Now I know it's different for each individual, and I actually really want to do a video with my sister sharing about, because even though we were siblings, there were major differences. Mostly the fact that she was a girl and I was a guy in a polygamous cult. That makes a very large difference. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.